Hello, Frugalistas and Dumpsterinos. It has been a long time since we've cooked anything together, and today we're going to take care of that. So, Dumpsterinos and Frugalistas, what brings us together here today? I'm going to share with you the most amazing and delicious scone recipe. I know, we want to say scone. And what's so exciting about this scone recipe is that there's no egg required. You'll find in most of your scone recipes an egg is required, but no, not in this one, because I didn't have an egg, so I just plowed ahead and made it without that egg, and it just came out amazing, just amazing. Light, fluffy, a delight 10 times over. So if you have an egg and you want to throw it in, feel free, but this is an eggless recipe. You don't need the egg. So let's get making those scones in time for us to have some hoop-de-doo afternoon tea. Here we go. Alrighty, we are going to start with 2½ cups of flour. We will add to that a ½ cup of sugar, but we're going to save a little bit. Reserve a little bit of the sugar back because we're going to sprinkle it on top of the scones just before baking. We're going to do a tablespoon of baking powder, which is the same as 3 teaspoons. About ½ a teaspoon of salt. Mix all your dry ingredients together. Then we're going to take a stick of very cold butter. And we're going to cut it up into chunks. Put it in there with the flour and sugar and baking powder and salt. And then we're going to use our fingers. And we're going to smush the dry ingredients into the cold butter. And we do not want the butter to get warm, and we do not want to overwork this dough, because this is not bread. We're not trying to activate the gluten in the flour. So we just try to smush the dry ingredients into the butter, kind of rubbing the butter between your fingers like that, but mushing the dry ingredients in. And you just keep doing that until you've got your butter worked in and you have a nice crumbly little texture. Then we will add the liquids that will bring the dough together. And we are going to use heavy cream because heavy cream just makes the best scones. But if you don't have heavy cream, don't worry, because you will get amazing results with whole milk, with half and half, with 1% milk, 2% milk, skim milk. You can use buttermilk. You can use the whey that comes off from making your homemade yogurt. You can use any of those things, and you'll have amazing, delicious, light, fluffy scones. But I just think the heavy whipping cream, it makes them the best.
Para mi gente.
Now we're going to add some heavy whipping cream. You know how if you want to use buttermilk, but you don't have buttermilk, you will just take your regular milk and you will add some vinegar to it. Vinegar. And that will give you your buttermilk essence in your baking recipe. So that's what we're going to do with the heavy whipping cream. We're going to use the heavy cream, but we're also going to put in a little bit of vinegar to make it like buttermilk heavy cream. And then the vinegar will also help to make the scones light and fluffy. So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to put in some heavy whipping cream, and then I'm just going to splash in some vinegar and stir it around until it comes together as a nice dough. You don't want it dry and stiff. You don't want it too mushy because you want to be able to roll it out and cut it, so you don't want it too wet. And I think it's usually about 2/3 of a cup of liquid, but we'll see. So in with some cream and a splash of our vinegar, a little vanilla extract, stir it all together. We have a nice dough coming together. I think I might have made it, it might be a little too moist. Yeah, I might need to add a little more flour. Oh, I don't have any more flour. Oh, well. Now, if you want to just go ahead and bake these into your scones, these would be perfectly delightful, but we can make them even better. So, first we're going to add some orange zest. We're going to add some dried cranberries. We're going to add some raw pine nuts. You don't like the cranberries and the pine nuts, you don't have to put them in. But if you like a little crunch, you're going to love these. And a little bit of orange extract.
Con una pasión tan fuerte.
Now what I had planned to do was to put the dough out on the butcher block table and cut round scone shapes with a drinking glass, but I have made the dough a little bit too moist, I think, and I think it's just going to stick, and I'm completely out of flour now, so I can't add any flour, so I'm just going to scoop it and do it like drop biscuits. But you can do your scones in whatever shape you want. You can roll them out and cut them into biscuit rounds, or you can do them in your traditional triangle shapes, whatever you want. But we're going to do ours like drop biscuits.
Ay, 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 ay. Ahora sigo cantando y sigo gozando. Yo sigo cantando y sigo gozando.
What they look like so far. I don't know if you can tell on film, but in real life you can see actual chunks of butter that are not all mixed in, and that is what you want. You want to still see chunks of butter. Now, if I had rolled this out, if I had made it just not quite as moist a dough, if I'd rolled it out and cut it with a cookie cutter or a glass, then I would have a smooth top and I would have straight edges, and that would be great. Since I'm doing this in drop biscuit form, I have craggly edges and surface area, which I personally like because I like the outside of my scone to get kind of crispy and crunchy and the inside to be all soft and delightful, and that's what's going to happen with these. But we still have one more step before we put them in our 375-degree oven, where we're going to bake them for probably 25 minutes-ish to half an hour. We'll see. But anyway, one more step before we do that. We are going to brush the top of each scone with some melted butter. And then we sprinkle a little bit of that coarse sugar on top of each one. Can you skip this step? Sure you can. Will they be as good? Not quite. Alrighty, it's been about half an hour and they're coming out. They look so good. but they don't look quite like the scones we expected. They look like giant soft cookies, kind of. But they're going to taste amazing. I know that for sure. I guess I have to let them cool down for a second. Ow. It's so hot. See how light and fluffy? I couldn't really wait for it to cool off. Yes, please, and thank you, ma'am. The flatter you make them, the more cookie-like they become. And the higher you make them, the fatter you make them, the more biscuit/scone-like they are. So give this eggless recipe a try. Tell me what you think. I think it's amazing.